Jane thought he was in the cafeteria. Hurry! Miss Gravy will cook anything she can get her hands on. You think Miss Gravy was cooking the pig? What do you think she's cooking? But luckily for the pig, we were having spaghetti for lunch. I haven't seen him, but he would be tasty for next week's breakfast. Edmund thought he had a lead. Those oinks coming from Miss Tonedeaf's room must be our pig. Can you see all the oink, oink, oinks that are coming? What do you think it is? But no, it was just the kindergarten class singing, "Old MacDonald Had a Farm." Remember how it goes? With an oink oink here and an oink oink there? That's right. We were about to give up hope when Big D had a breakthrough in the case. I've got it. I bet Coach Smith has recruited him for the football team. He'd be great at defense. But again, there were no leads. Coach Smith said he hadn't seen a pig anywhere. Recess was almost over and there was still no sign of our pig. Miss Libro, we've searched for our pig everywhere and we still haven't solved the case. Are you sure you've looked everywhere? Everywhere, that was it. Of course we hadn't been everywhere. There was one place we hadn't looked. I grabbed my friends and we were off to save our pig. I boldly went where I'd never gone before, into the what? And there they all were. Benjamin Franklin, Jasper the ghost, the dragon, and in the middle of the room was our pig. And then I had the most brilliant idea ever. Miss Libro, let's read here in the library. Take it from me, Tyrone. You never know who you're going to meet when you look in a book. That's it. It has some really cute things in it that we didn't quite get to.
Very good.
Okay, thanks, Congressman.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Bush, for being here. We really appreciate it, and I have to tell you, Read All About It is one of my favorites. I've been reading that when I go to schools, especially grade schools, to kids. And one of the things I like going to schools as well is I like to ask questions of the kids. And I know that so many of the young people here today had questions for you, and unfortunately, we don't have time for everybody to ask questions. So we asked some of you when you were coming in to put down a list of some of the questions that some of you might have.
Are you all right?
All right. She's a pretty nice lady, isn't she? Yeah? All right.
Are you homesick?
So we have a few questions we're going to let some of the students ask, and some of the students were a little bashful, and so a couple of these they've asked me to read. So the first one comes from Casey Hoffmeyer, who is a homeschooled student in the 3rd grade. And Casey's question is, how is your little dog, and are you anxious to be a grandmother since you have a married daughter?
Our little dog, we have 2 little Scottish Terriers, Barney and Miss Beasley, and they're doing fine. We've all moved back home to Dallas. We live in Dallas now, so Barney and Beasley don't have a great big yard like they used to have at the White House, so they're having to play just in a regular backyard, but they're getting used to it. And guess what Barney loves to play best? Golf. Because he has a long snout and he can retrieve the ball from the hole. And guess what Miss Beasley likes to play best? Soccer, because she can use her big head to push the soccer ball around the backyard. So they're doing really well. And yes, of course, George and I are hoping to have grandchildren. Jenna's married to a man named Henry, and we hope they'll consider having children soon, because we're anxious to get grandchildren.
Well, the end of her question said, be sure to say hi to George. We love him.
Oh, okay, good. I'll tell George hi.
Our next question. Our next question is from Remy Wegman, who comes from Dirksen Grade School in the 3rd grade. Remy, if you're here, go ahead. Is that you? Okay, stand up. Thanks, and why don't you ask your question to Mrs. Bush?
What was your favorite book when you were a little kid?
I had a lot of favorite books because I really did love to read. And one of the series that I liked to read when I was started in the 4th grade are the Little House series, the Little House on the Prairie books. I love those books. If you've read any of them yet, you'll know that the main character is named Laura, and that's my name. And she had brown hair, and I had brown hair. So I really identified with Laura in the Little House books. So those are books I think you all would like to read as well. But there's so many great new books for kids. And there are a lot of books that I think boys would like. Like, have any of you read the Goosebumps books by R.L. Stine? What about, have you read any of the Stinky Cheese books by John Cheska? Have you read those? Those are books that you all might think are funny and might be fun to read with each other, read out loud to each other and make each other laugh. Have you ever read out loud with your friends?
All right, next question is from Connor Maris, who's in the 3rd grade at Peoria Christian School. Connor, go ahead with your question.
How many shotguns does your husband have? If yes, how many does he have in his collection?
He doesn't have very many shotguns in his collection. I don't think. He actually doesn't hunt very much. We have a ranch, and we have deer on our property, and every year we let people like the sheriff and some other people come hunt deer just so we keep the right number on our property, but he really doesn't go hunting very much. But we like to go out to the last fall, a year ago, we went out to far West Texas and on a hunt. We didn't hunt. Did you see your mommy? Where is she? Were you looking for her before? Right over there. Okay. Is that why you were kind of sad because you didn't know where your mommy was? Okay, good. Now you can see her.
All right, we have another question from a 3rd grader at PCS, Tony Cornish. Tony, why don't you stand up and ask Mrs. Bush your question?
How did it feel to be the First Lady of the United States?
Well, it's a huge honor to get to be First Lady of the United States and to get to live in the White House. Have any of you ever been on a tour of the White House? Sometimes I hope you'll get to go to Washington, D.C., our beautiful capital in the United States, and you can tour the White House and see where all of our presidents have lived since John Adams. The White House was being built when our first president was president, so he didn't ever live in it. Who was our first president? George Washington, that's right. But the second president was John Adams, and when he was elected, they finished the White House, and so he moved into it. And so since then, every single president we've had has lived there, and we've had 44 presidents.
Okay, our next question is...
You heard your one.
Our next question is from Zachary Ferris, who is a 13-year-old homeschooled student. Zachary, if you could stand up and ask your question.
Okay, let's look over here at Zachary. Does he want to come sit here too? You want to come sit here too?
Which did you find more challenging, role of First Lady or school teacher?
Which did I find more challenging, the role of First Lady or school teacher? I'll tell you, they are both very challenging. But I want to thank all the teachers that are here. I don't know if any of your teachers are with you, but I want to thank them for teaching. And Jenna and I dedicated our book, read all about it. We dedicated our book to...
Your mommy wants you.
We dedicated our book to George and to Jenna's twin sister, Barbara, but we also dedicated this book to all the Tyrones out there and all the teachers who inspire them. Here's the dedication page. So we admire teachers, and it's a lot of fun to be a teacher. Do any of you want to grow up and be a teacher? Some of you do? Good. I hope you'll all consider teaching, even if you just teach for a few years.
Okay, we have time for a couple more. Carly Boyer, who's in the 3rd grade at St. Thomas. Carly, do you have your question for Mrs. Bush?
Where is Carly? Is that Carly right there? Good.
How is George Bush?
She said, how's George Bush? He's doing great. We live back in Dallas now, which is where we lived before George was elected governor. We went last Saturday night to the Texas Rangers New York Yankees game, the baseball game, and guess who won? The Texas Rangers. So we're doing very well. We're doing really well. Are you all White Sox or Cubs fans? Okay, never mind.
All right. Well, boys and girls, we have time for one last question, and that is going to come from Elena Gaston, who is another homeschooled student. Elena, if you're here, you want to stand up.
Is Elena here? Okay. Hi, Elena.
Hi. What's the thing you miss most about being First Lady?
Well, I miss the beautiful house that we lived in, but you know, when George was inaugurated the second time that in 4 years we'd move out. And so I think because of that, when the time comes, you're sort of ready to move out. We anticipated a more normal life back home in Texas, and that's how it's been. But I miss all the people we worked with, all the people that work in the White House for a president after president, the ones that work in the residence. I miss seeing them, and then all the people that work on our staffs in the West Wing and the East Wing. But we still see them, but we don't live in the same town with so many of them. But that's who we miss the most.
All right.
Okay, everybody.
Wasn't this fun?
Did you have a question?
Are you all ready for some ice cream and swimming? Well, I hope that you all study and you continue to read this school year. And I hope next year you'll all join my summer reading program again. And I can't promise you that we're going to have as important of a guest as Mrs. Bush next year. But reading is very, very important. And that is why she took time from her very busy schedule to come all the way to Peoria from Texas to read to you and talk to you about reading.
Remember that reading is the most important skill you learn in school. Because if you can read well, you can read every other part of any one of your lessons. So you need to practice. Will you do that? Will you?
Will you all promise to read for Mrs. Bush?
Sure.
All right. Please help me thank her for coming.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. Bye. Thanks very much, Congressman. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, Aaron. That was a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Bye, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.